Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I will be reading What If Naruto Was in Marvel World. I'll put the link to the original author's work in the description. Now let's begin. Chapter 6, The Fight and Offer, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 28, 2005, 2128 local. Naruto knocked on the door twice as instructed. The door opened a portion of the way showing a woman dressed in business attire. She had blonde hair and brown eyes. "You're going to fight?" The woman asked for confirmation. "Yeah," Naruto replied. The woman stepped aside and motioned for him to come in. $2,000 entry fee. Every fight you win, you get $5,000. You win 2 fights, and you get in the tournament later. It's an all-or-nothing game. You get to take home $250,000, 5% of the gate, and 10% of your betting pool, the woman informed him in a brisk tone. "Sign here before you fight." The woman continued while showing him a piece of paper. Naruto signed the paper with an alias of Gemato. He then placed his hands in his pocket, unsealed some cash, and made a show of counting the money before placing $2,000 on the table. He then placed the remaining money in his pocket and sealed it again. When your number is called, you go to the ring. Your number is 32. When Naruto started walking towards the fighter's waiting area indicated by a huge assortment of guys wearing gloves, bandages, or just generally looking intimidating, he remembered something. He turned around to face the woman again. After he finally got the attention of the woman back, he asked, "Can I make a bet?" "Sure. But you can't make a bet on you losing." "Oh, never even crossed my mind. Is there a limit on the bets?" The woman looked weirdly at him for a second and said, "Minimum bet is $1,000. "Okay." He unsealed in his pockets 2 bundles of cash in his pocket and took it out. "I'm betting $100,000 that I'm going to win the whole thing and another $100,000 that I'm gonna knock out every one of my opponents flat in under a minute," he said with a goofy smile on his face. This got the attention of everyone in the waiting room. The woman immediately regained her composure. She took the cash and noted it down without another word. Every one of his opponents is now giving him a hardened glare. He just shrugged off all the attention and walked to the far side of the room, giving him the vantage point to see everything in the place. He leaned back to the wall and lowered his hood to partially cover his eyes while making a note to buy some shades. He observed everyone in the room. He was taking note of their physique and mannerisms. He would have liked to use his jutsu, but it just wouldn't be fair. He would be able to see all the weaknesses of his opponents. He saw that out of all the competitors, excluding himself, only 5 can compete with the average Ganin. That is, of course, without the use of Kekro. The observation just made him sad. Is this what this world's fighters look like? That's just pathetic. Krenma said with a hint of disbelief. Isn't that better? We could relax and take it easy. Isip countered. Well, yeah. But we won't have any entertainment. Ugh, we can just find other entertainment. It won't be the end of the world. While the conversation of the Bijon side him continued, numbers 9 and 10 were called. A 6'6" African-American guy with a beard that has been eating him for a while approached him. He scanned him up and down. After a few seconds, the guy said, "You don't look much. I'll enjoy turning you to a paste." Without missing a beat, the guy walked out of the room. He must be number 9 or 10. After 30 minutes, he and the last guy in the room were called. His opponent, number 31, is a 6 Caucasian with developed muscles. He walked with confidence ahead of him. When they reached the end of the hallway, he saw an octagonal cage. It looked to be around 30 ft in diameter stage on top of a 4 ft platform. The enclosure is 6 ft in height, completely enclosing the ring. Allotted seats are surrounding the ring, all of them wearing suits or dresses. This should be interesting, at least, Naruto said to himself. He followed the instructions of the man to go to one side of the stage. He removed his heady to reveal his long-sleeve shirt. He walked up the stage and entered the cage. He walked to the center until he was face to face with his opponent. The referee approached them and said, "This is a no-holds-bar fight. I'm the only rule here. You either win by your opponent tapping out, or I say you win. When I end the fight, you end the fight. No questions asked. You both understand?" They both nodded. "Okay, after you tap your fist, you start." The referee then walked to the side of the ring. Naruto's opponent keeps glaring at him. His answer, a bored expression. This just served to annoy his opponent more. Naruto raised his right fist to signify he would like to start the fight. 31 lifted his left fist and tapped it. The guy suddenly charged at him and drove his right fist hard straight to his face. Almost everyone thought it was another disappointing fight. The sad thing was, they were right. Number 31 suddenly toppled over and started coughing up blood. The audience can see that Naruto's left hand was now positioned for what was a body blow. The referee approached number 31 to check his condition. After a while, he stood up and signaled for the end of the fight. Naruto started walking away while muttering, "But that's just a love tap." The audience heard this and started replacing some of their bets. Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 0200H local. Naruto and number 9, now known as Mike Lucas when his name was called for the final fight, is standing in the middle of the ring. He was the one who threatened Naruto to turn him into a paste. The fight announcer is typing out the crowd and calling for the end of the betting. Both of them easily dominated their own brackets until they met in the finals. Although Lucas stands at 6'6", is swift and robust, allowing him to overwhelm his opponents with simple punches or grapple moves while dodging enemy attacks. Naruto, on the other hand, just tanks the blows and then delivering a devastating counter-attack, quickly dispatching his opponents. "What kind of a name is Maya?" Lucas mocked, pulling Naruto of his musing. "It's the only name I have." Naruto then looked away, looking disinterested. I still don't know how you got here. There are a lot of guys who's better than you." Lucas continued to say, trying to pull Naruto out of his calm demeanor. "Huh? Did you say something?" Naruto said, pulling a move from his sensei. "That's it. You're dead," growled out Lucas. The referee approached them and explained the rules of the fight again. After finishing his explanation, he moved over to the side of the ring. The opponents both tapped their right fists with each other, and then Lucas moved away while maintaining his boxer stance. Lucas is looking for any opening his opponent has, and that proved to be easy. Naruto is looking genuinely relaxed, leaving a lot of holes in his defense. Lucas rushed Naruto, intending to land a punch to his jaw, hoping to end the fight quickly. When his fists made contact with his opponent's jaw, he felt like crying out in pain. It felt like punching a block of steel. A fist is suddenly flying towards his face. Only his experience and physique helped him dodge Naruto's counter by the skin of his teeth. He moves back to gain some breathing room. "Hey! You're pretty fast," Naruto said. With a smile forming on his face, Naruto lowered his body into a basic academy-style stance. He had copied a large variety of fighting styles before he left the elemental nations. The basic academy style should be more than enough for this level of opponent. Lucas reassured himself that the previous engagement was just a fluke. He knows he can win with the tried and tested method of overwhelming the enemy with force and speed. He rushed forward significantly quicker. He rained punches on Naruto's head and body, throwing out hooks, straight, uppercut, and body blows. He opted out to use kicks since he needs his feet to move quickly out of the way if Naruto ever tried to retaliate. Each punch he threw increased his confidence right until he felt his feet kick right under him. The force of the blow almost fractured his leg. This caused his body to be momentarily unbalanced, causing him to take a blow to his right kidney. It felt like a car crashed into him, causing him to fold over. When he was falling down to his knees, Naruto threw a perfectly timed left uppercut, effectively keeping him upright but dazed. Seeing the world spinning and doubled, he finally knew he bit off more than he can chew. Naruto moved back half a step and whirled, turning it to a brutal roundhouse kick. It laid out Mike Lucas, immediately turning his lights off. A few pieces of tooth flew out of his mouth, alongside spit and blood. Seeing the state of Lucas, the referee immediately raised Naruto's hand, indicating he won the fight. Naruto was led to a back room where he could collect his winnings. Summing up all the money he won, including his bets, which accounts for the majority of his winnings, he racked up $1,220,000, bringing his total of available cash to $1,239,456. He placed all his winning into a backpack to avoid using his storage seal. Naruto walked out of the warehouse with the intent of getting food in one of those convenience stores and a motel to sleep in when he sensed a large group of people circling his position. When he reached the front of the warehouse, a 5'11" Caucasian man walked up to him. He has a shaved head and a monocle on his right eye. He extended his hand for a handshake. "Good evening, or should I say good morning, Mr. Mao." Naruto immediately shook the man's hand, outwardly showing a friendly and open attitude, but on the inside, he's already on guard. He ordered Kreml to scan the surroundings for possible hostile intent. "You have me at a disadvantage here, Mr. Strucker." Baron Wolfgang von Strucker. The two unclasped their hands and looked at each other for a moment, trying to get a read on each other. After a few more seconds, Naruto asked, "Well, Mr. Strucker, I doubt you would approach me at this time without some form of business." "A straight-to-the-point kind of guy. I like it. Mr. Maya, I represent a certain organization with the intent of helping the world to achieve a higher level of greatness. Your skills and physical capabilities would be a great boon for us," Baron Strucker said with a friendly smile. Naruto acted like he was thinking about it positively for a while. The organization he spoke of is highly dubious. What kind of organization with the intent of helping people has 25 probably heavily armed guards surrounding a man they're trying to recruits people with questionable background found in an underground fight, or aims for people with high skill and physical level for helping people? It all just stinks to high heaven. He concluded that this organization is a lot like Akatsuki. He just has no ideas how right it is. "So, what do you want from me?" Naruto finally said. "I would like you to join us in our endeavor," Strucker replied. "If I join, what would be my job and its benefits?" Naruto asked, showing his interest. "With your skills, you would mostly be doing escort work of our high-level executives while doing some odd jobs here and there. As for pay, we pay on the high side of the spectrum with exceptional personal benefits." "Wow. That's just awesome. I really would love to sign up, but," Strucker said, sensing the continuation of the sentence, "I just left my previous job, and I'm on vacation. I'm going to tour the world a bit before everything else. But I would like to sign up if it's still available, maybe in a year." Naruto offered to get this organization off his back while he's still adjusting to the world. Strucker nodded and took a small card from his pocket. He gave it to Naruto and said, "That's acceptable. There's my personal information and contact details, both office and personal. I hope to hear from you soon. Good day, Mr. Mao." With the final statement, Strucker left. Naruto just stood by the sidewalk while acting like he was looking at the card when in reality, he was sensing where Strucker and his guards would go. As he was looking at the card, though, he sensed an underlying current of electricity inside. He guessed that the card has some kind of tracking technology in it. To be safe, he used a small pulse of lightning release, electromagnetic murder in his hands to fry the circuit inside the card. Naruto then walked down the street when he sensed he's finally alone, intent on having a meal and ending his long first day in another world. Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 0315 H local. "Sir, the beacon in the card stopped responding," an assistant said to Strucker while inside the car. "He's not as stupid as I thought." What to do, Strucker said while tapping his chin. Prioritizing his goals, he built up a plan. "I want his movement tracked. Send me a report every month. He looks like he might be a great addition to Hydra. I just hoped he would make the right choice. I would hate to be less than a gentleman when inquiring how he achieved a high level of human conditioning at such a young age. Even if he's busy, we can use him for super soldier experimentation." "Yes, sir." The assistant acknowledged the order. Hydra has no idea what calamity they would bring to themselves. Cause no head would grow on a Hydra if there's nobody left. Chapter 7. First Crumbs, Edwards Air Force Base, California, March 29, 2005, 0300 H local. The general and the two technical sergeants have been poring over the recordings and the reports all through the night trying to make sense of the occurrence. They first considered it as a glitch in the system but immediately scrapped that idea. The systems are operational, and no errors are found even through a rigorous battery of tests. General Powell has opted out of going home to study the instantaneous appearance of the man in the middle of the Mojave Desert. This mysterious man obviously constitutes a breach in national security. If he is capable of showing up like that anywhere, what's to say he won't be able just to show up inside the White House and assassinated the president without anyone being able to do anything? Worse yet, he can get in anywhere and take anything out, like nuclear launch codes. Do anyone else know about this or have a copy of this recording? General Powell asked the two sergeants seriously. No, sir. We immediately took this to you. The only copy left is in the system hard drive you locked down. Collins replied. Good, from now on, this is classified above top secret for eyes only. You will forget this ever happened unless addressed explicitly by the President, the Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staffs, and me. Is that understood? Powell said while giving them a hard glare. Yes, sir. The two sergeants saluted. Okay, you both are dismissed. Take a week off, but keep your phone with you in case you are needed to be called over. The two sergeants saluted and walked off, nervousness and fatigue radiating from their bodies. The general took his office phone and dialed a number. The phone rang 3 times until someone answered on the other side. This is General calling Powell, service ID number 583452244. The General said early in the morning for you, General. What can I do for you? A female voice replied. I need to set up a teleconferencing meeting with all the Chief of Staff and POTUS as soon as possible. This is a code orange emergency. Understood. I'll call you back for the details. Thank you. The General handed up the phone and stared at a still frame of the man standing in the middle of the desert. He stood up, poured himself a drink, and drank it all in one shot while quietly muttering, Who the hell are you? Central Park, New York City, New York, March 29, 2005, 0700H local. Nothing like good coffee in the morning. Agent Phil Coulson said as he was walking towards the site of the event. By his side is Agent Clint Barton drinking his own cup of coffee while silently scanning his surroundings, a trait he can't seem to turn off even when he knows the area is safe. Trailing behind them were the field agents and techs they brought with them, each carrying gears they might need. When they reached the cordoned off area, they saw neat cops guarding the area with some civilians milling around. Both Coulson and Barton identified some of those civilians as undercover SHIELD agents tasked with guarding the site. The cordoned-off area is approximately 20 m x 20 m, a large area since the exact point of the event can't be determined since no marks were left on the ground. Only the approximate area was determined from video recordings and eyewitness accounts, all of which are from a distance. Coulson approached one of the cops and asked in a friendly tone, Can you point me to who's in charge? The cop looked slightly annoyed for a moment but then saw the guy who asked him, including the large group behind him. Looking at the group's fancy attire and equipment, he concluded that these are the feds they're waiting for. He nodded in acknowledgement and looked around for his boss. When he saw him, the cop looked back at the fed asking him and said, You see the guy with the brown jacket? That's Lieutenant Avery. He's the one you want to talk to. The cop said while pointing behind him. Thank you for your cooperation, officer. Coulson said in gratitude. Coulson ducked below the cordon and walked over to where Lieutenant Avery is standing. Barton, on the other hand, walked around the area to try spot something unusual. The agents and techs stood just outside the area, waiting for orders. Good morning, Lieutenant Avery. How are you? I'm Agent Coulson, and that guy in the jean jacket looking around is Agent Barton. We're the reinforcements you're waiting for. Coulson said while extending his hands. Avery shook Coulson's hand and said, Pleasure to meet you. We're cold but otherwise okay. Good thing you came now. We're just about ready to bug out in 30 minutes, and I don't want to leave this place unguarded, but it's all hands on deck later in the morning. Protesters for the Terry Schiavo case would gather on Times Square later today. No problem. That Terry Schiavo case is rather complicated. So, what can you tell me about what happened here? Coulson said, reeling in the conversation to the topic at hand. Some of mine has canvassed the area and collected witness statements. We also requested copies of CCTV footage from both traffic, police, and building CCTVs around this area from 8:25 to 8:45 p.m. That should give you guys something to work on. The written reports and the discs are 1 pages. Just have one of your men find Deputy Chief Martell. Avery informed Coulson. That's great, Lieutenant. You and your boys can go home. We'll take it from here. Much appreciated, Agent Coulson, Lieutenant Avery said. He then looked over to the cops guarding the area and shouted, Come on. We're going for a quick chat then going home. Avery and the other cops then left the area. Coulson watched them go for a moment then walked over to his men. Mahoney and Johnson, take a car and get those reports. It'll be at 1 pages. Talk to Deputy Chief Martell. Diaz and James, your security. The others, you know your jobs. Go. Coulson ordered. The agents and techs immediately scrambled to accomplish their orders. As this was happening, Barton walked over to Coulson's side. You know, we should expand the perimeter. Barton suggested. Why? What did you see? Coulson asked curiously. Follow me. Barton then walked to the center of the cordoned-off area with Coulson following him. When they reached the center, Barton handed over to Coulson a pair of binoculars he was holding. Look over there. Can you see the tree over there? The cherry blossom? Barton asked while pointing to a tree some distance away. Yeah. What am I looking for? Coulson asked while looking through that binoculars. Look at the trunk, near the base of the tree. Is that kanji script? Yup, but it has Hindi and other scripts I can't identify. The mark, it's exactly north of here and 100 meters far from where we're standing. You can measure it. Yeah. I believe you. Carlson said, trusting Barton's skill. That's not all. Look behind you, another blossom. That's exactly 100 m south of here. Those writings are present in all 8 directions exactly 100 m from this spot. The weird thing is, I'm fairly certain they were not there before the event. Why would you say that? If I'm right and all those trees are exactly 100 m from here, it's just too perfect of a placement. It's unnatural. You're right. Carlson finally agreed. He called over a tech and ordered, I want you to mark where I'm standing. Using this as a reference, measure the distance and the direction from here to that tree over there. When you have it, come back to me. The technician nodded and executed Carlson's orders. Barton and Carlson moved over to the perimeter of the area. So, what's your take on this? Barton asked. Well, I got a lot of idea of what might have happened. None of them are conclusive. If I added those weird symbols, it becomes a little more worrying. Care to share some of it? I'm currently thinking of 2 of the possibly worst outcome. 1. Something or someone activated that type of a beacon. To what end, I have no idea, Carlson said in a serious voice, losing his trademark smile. Or, Barton said, urging Carlson to continue. Something or someone came over. We have no eyewitness accounts except for a flash of light, and those symbols are clearly marking this area if what you said is true. Barton just remained dumbfounded on Carlson's hypothesis. Thinking it over, both of those scenarios are undoubtedly possible, especially in their line of work. While Barton was mulling over what Carlson just said, the tech approached them. Sir, the tree is exactly north of where you were just standing. It's also exactly 100 meters away from the trunk to the center of the area. The tech reported. Carlson faced Barton and said, looks like you were right. Carlson faced the tech again and said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Take another 4 guys with you. Do the same thing should be present for the trees 100 m away in all 8 compass directions. Record everything you can. I want tree samples, photographs, and aerial mapping with all the coordinates. I want you to focus on the marks on the base of the tree. We'll get right on it, sir. Carlson watched as the tech walked away, calling some other techs. I hope that would shed some light on it. Carlson mused. I just hope you're wrong. Barton answered. MGM Grand Hotel, Las Vegas, Nevada. March 29, 2005, 0800H local. Hello. A drowsy Natasha Romanoff answered the phone. Good morning, Ms. Rockford. This is your requested 8 AM wake-up call. The receptionist on the other side reminded in a jolly voice. Oh, thank you. Can you confirm my spa appointment? Certainly, Ms. Rockford. One moment please. Tapping sound could be heard on the other end of the line. Your appointment was set at 10 AM. Is that acceptable? Yes, that's perfect. Oh, can you send up an English breakfast and 2 large black coffee? Certainly, Ms. Rockford. Is there anything else? No. Nothing else. Thank you. Natasha then hung up the phone. After finishing her morning ritual, she changed into blue jeans, a white t-shirt, white sneakers, and a black leather jacket. She heard a knock on the door while finishing her makeup. She looked into the hell who was on the other side. When she saw it's a room service, she opened her door and gestured the hotel attendant to bring the food in. The attendant set the food up and left, receiving a $50 tip. Natasha called Fury while eating her meal. Good morning, boss. Natasha greeted Fury. You left me quite a puzzle, Romanov, Fury answered in reply. The picture you sent of one Naruto Uzumaki didn't come up on any database. He's basically a ghost. Even on the overseas databases. I should amend my statement. He didn't come up on every database. Fury said with a touch of annoyance. I'll try to find him while I'm here. He's probably really good to not have any record of him. Natasha said, not knowing that Naruto didn't come from the world. Tread carefully, Agent Romanov. I still haven't eaten for you yet. Fury said in a half-joking manner. Ha ha. Sure thing, boss. Thanks for the favor. Goodbye, Agent Romanov. Fury said then hung up the phone. Natasha placed her phone in her pocket and finished her meal. She left her room to attend her spa appointment while thinking about how to accomplish her self-imposed mission. Chapter 8, A Scary Plan. Motel 6, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 1308. Wow, I haven't slept in a bed for so long. Naruto said to nobody in particular while stretching his body out like a cat. That's just part of the course. You don't need sleep, remember. Metal to be reminded. You're a lot like Gar when he was a kid. Good times, good times. Shikok said with a sense of nostalgia. You are threatening the kid at taking his body over when he sleeps. How can that be a good time? Gemato countered. Well, a good time for me, not for him. Sheesh. Shikok defended himself. Shoot up. It's too early for you, broadcasting your infighting in my head. Naruto interjected before the fighting escalates. Kid, it's 1 in the afternoon. Krama deadpanned. Well, it's no more than 10 minutes. Since I woke up, so it's still early. Naruto said in a deadpan voice. Naruto sometimes thinks that he could relate to people with mental health issues, like say voice in your head. In his case, 9 distinct personalities that's capable of leaving his body and destroy a whole world. It's a good thing he can turn off the connection to the bijou, or he would seriously doubt his sanity by this time. He stood up and went to the bathroom. After washing up, he sat in front of the desk in his room and stared at the mirror, looking directly at his reflection. I have close to 1,000 clones in the city of Los Angeles still gathering basic information, none here in Las Vegas since all of them popped when they found a Class A forger while I was sleeping. Now, what should I do? Naruto thought to himself. When suddenly, he banged his head on the table. The holy grail of answers is in front of him. I'll place some reinforced siphoning clones with Hiraishin tags to all the major cities in the world. That would make it a lot easier to move around. And if each of those clones can create more clones that can use transformation in my Dojutsu, I can make an undetectable instant information network. It's going to be better than what Hirosenin has. With his mind made up, he walked over to the bed and unsealed a duffel bag and a backpack. Naruto placed 5,110 Hiraishin tags in the duffel bag and 511 reinforcement siphoning tags in the pack. He then created a shadow clone. Find an abandoned warehouse or building somewhere and place a reinforcement tag on you. You then are going to create another 510 clones with a reinforcement tag on them. Each one of you would then pick one major city and place 10 Hiraishin tags in any safer you deem fit. Don't worry about Los Angeles. When it's all done, you're going to make an information gathering cell on the city and any nearby area. Try to get in as many classes as possible and read all the books in the library. Look into the internet, too, if possible. Create and dispel a clone every day or if something important happens. Got it? Naruto ordered with great enthusiasm, visibly vibrating with excitement on the prospect of his new idea. Yes, boss. No problem, leave it to me. The clone saluted and shushed away, leaving an open window. What do you plan with doing with all that knowledge, Geki? Gyuki asked with apprehension. He knows that knowledge is power and power corrupts. Then much information flowing to one person won't be healthy. Well, of course, we're going to sell it. Naruto exclaimed with vigor. What? All the bijou shouted in shock. That way of thinking is totally out of character from Naruto. He's the kind of guy that will easily give up a lot to help the good guys. Ba-chan said that people would be really suspicious of what they've taken for free. So we sell the information on the bad guys to the good guys. That way we can help people while still earning some money. Smart, right? Naruto could clearly feel the gaping faces of the bijous. When the hell did you get that smart? Shikok shouted. My little boy's all grown up. Krama said while wiping away a fake tear. Hey! I'm not that bad, am I? Naruto said the last part in a pleading tone. Well, you were pretty bad. Shouting about being Hokage all the time, running head straight to the enemy without thinking. Yup, you were pretty bad. Krama asserted. Well, fuck you too, guys. Naruto then stood up and sealed all his items except for the decoy bag. He walked out of the room and headed to the front desk. Room 225, checking out. Naruto said to the receptionist. Certainly, sir. That would be $62. The receptionist said after looking over the records. Naruto took out a $100 bill and handed it over. Here, you go. Say, can you recommend a good casino? Maybe poker? Naruto asked, trying to find out where's the best place to go next. The Bellagio is a favorite for amateurs and high rollers. They have different buying tables from $1,000 to $1 million on their floor. I heard they also host high-stakes poker with a minimum buy-in of $50 million. The receptionist informed Naruto. Well, here's your change, sir. I hope you stay with us again. Thank you. Naruto walked out of the motel. His first order of business: get himself a new identity or two. Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 1400 H local. Naruto is walking towards the house of who could make him a new identity. His clones heard about it from some crime boss talking about bugging out of Las Vegas since the cops are hot on his trail. Further research about the guy showed that he's a U.S. State Department, which apparently does something about international relations, employee, and a hacker, which means he can create legitimate clean identities, including IDs and passports. The perfect guy for the job. His services would cost $200,000 per identity. He usually wouldn't do transactions on a weekday since he is a government employee. Still, the clone's memories showed that the guy didn't come into work due to a foot fracture, which is certainly not the fault of one of his clones accidentally dropping a pot on the guy's feet. Nearing the apartment building, he ducked into an alleyway and created two shadow clones. One of the clones transformed into a guy who looks a lot like Sesk and the other into his sexy jutsu form. Satisfied with the transformation of his clones, he and his clones walked towards the apartment building. Walking up the third floor, he knocked on room 303. Shuffling could be heard on the other side of the door. The door opened, showing a pasty, skinny, 5'6" Caucasian man. Jeremy Michaels was an ordinary 23-year-old guy. He was working a dead-end 8-to-5 job for the government. Day after day, week after week, it was all the same. The operating word was. One day, his Uncle Martin approached him with a request. His friend was unwittingly involved in a money laundering scheme. The FBI is already on his tail. What he needed from him was to create a new identity for his friend. His job and his skill with a computer would make it relatively easy for him to create a new identity for his friend. This one request would grow into his new sideline job. He studied the bureaucracy of the government to create better paper trails. He bought equipment to make perfect imitations of IDs and passports. He managed to stay hidden by being smart. Only his uncle could contact him about the alters, and they always use code phrases. This made sure that nobody's the wiser. The fact that 3 people he doesn't know is now standing in front of his door is a little disconcerting. "Are you Jeremy Michaels?" the blonde guy standing in the center asked. "Yes," Jeremy drawled out. "I met this girl in the bar. Her boyfriend left her, so now she's looking for a new phone," the guy said in a straight tone. Jeremy's heart rate immediately shot up. The guy he never met just said his uncle's code for a new job. Is he a cop? Doesn't look like one. Maybe Uncle Martin just let the code phrase slip somewhere. But how can he find out where I live? Either way, I can't bluff out of this. It's better if I let things play out. Jeremy thought to himself. The guy just stared at him while the other two are just looking around. Jeremy took a deep breath and said, "Coming. I have some phones I can give away." The blonde guy smiled and just walked inside, followed by the intense-looking black-haired guy and a bubbly, hot, blonde chick. Jeremy looked around outside for a moment and closed the door. He hobbled his way to the living room and saw the 3 people looking around his living room. Jeremy cleared his throat to get the trio's attention. He then pointed at the couch to allow the 3 to sit. Jeremy then walked over to a chair that faced the trio. There were a few seconds of awkward silence until Naruto broke the ice. "Relax, Jeremy. We're not cops or criminals. We're just in need of your services," Naruto said to calm Jeremy down. "People who are in need of my services aren't exactly clean," Jeremy countered with a little shake of his voice. "Well, that's true. But you haven't met 3 abused siblings who faked their deaths and are trying to run away." Naruto lead using a plot in one of the books his clones read. "Oh," Jeremy said, losing most of his tension. "But how did you know about my uncle's code phrases?" "You're smart, Jeremy, but you have nothing on my sister here," Naruto pointed to his female clone. "She can connect dots that don't even exist. And this broody guy right here, he worked out the rest." Naruto then pointed to the Sesk look-alike. Of course, none of what he said was true. When the clone heard about the crime boss needing a new identity, he just followed the trail until it ended on where Martin Michaels. Finding no indication that Martin is the one forging new identities, the clone broke into his safe and read Martin's journal. That's where the code phrases and information was written. It is a foolish move on Martin's part. "That's good, I guess," Jeremy said, thinking about how to work around the problem. If some random siblings can work out his side job and location, others can certainly do it too. "Well, what do you guys need?" he said, moving the issue aside and thinking about it for later. "My siblings and I all need new identities. The faster you can do it, the better. I'll add 25,000 on top of your fee for each identity if you can produce the IDs and passports by tonight. There's another 25,000 for you if you can acquire some high-limit credit cards by the same time. How about the paper trail? That would take some time." Jeremy asked, thinking about the work needed to make a high-class forgery. Don't worry about it. You can work on that at your usual pace, Naruto said while waving his hand about. Jeremy thought it over for over a minute. It would be tight, but if he postpones making the paper trail by tomorrow, he can certainly make it. The extra money would be an awesome bonus. Alright, I can have it done by 7. I just need to take your photo and details. You can wait here while I finish it up. The blonde guy just smiled brightly, stood up, took his hand, and shook it vigorously. You can put my name as Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. The broody guy's Nathan Bear, my sister as Hannah Fox. That way, we can't all be traced if one of us is found out. You can do anything you want with it as long as no one would be able to link us to each other, Naruto said. Jeremy thought of the ways he can make the 3 identities separate. Okay, come with me to the bath to polish up the details, Jeremy said after he stood up. Jeremy walked to the bathroom, shaking his head, thinking about the situation he put himself into. An energetic blonde, a broody brunette, and a cheerful chick. What weird group siblings. Well, at least it's not some assassin or a spy looking into him. Chapter 9, Hot on Your Trail, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 1400 H local. Natasha is just finishing up her lunch. Her self-imposed mission is still continuously eating at her. She can't concentrate on relaxing while she hasn't yet solved the mystery of one Naruto Uzumaki. Something in the back of her mind has been nagging her that Naruto is something special, hiding something big. She knows that Naruto would most probably be still in Vegas. The question is where. If she follows what Naruto said, she will find him in one of the casinos. Otherwise, she has no clue. Giving up on trying to relax, she left some cash on the table and walked up to her room. When she got inside, she took both of her Glock 26 Gang 4, a Ruger EC9, a pair of karambits, spare shots for her gauntlets, and a couple of magazines from her case. She also retrieved her specialized ballistic mesh and wore it under her shirt, covering all the bulging parts with her jacket. She put her Glocks in the holster by the small of her back, her Ruger at her right calf, karambits at the left calf, and the spares and magazines at the inside of her jacket. It might be overkill, but to where she's going, she might just need it all to get out. She took her room key and valet ticket and walked out of the room, making sure to lock it behind her. She walked to the lobby and showed her ticket to the valet counter to call her car. When her vehicle arrived, she placed a tip in the jar and immediately got on and drove off. She drove until she reached a medium-sized Italian restaurant on the north side of Las Vegas. She parked in the restaurant's parking lot, got off, and went inside while making sure her car's locked. She strode confidently inside the restaurant and approached the maitre d'. Good afternoon. I have a reservation under the name Vinny, Natasha said confidently. The maitre d' slightly narrowed her eyes. She looked to the manager behind her waiting for instructions. Natasha followed the maitre d's line of sight and saw the manager talking to a walkie-talkie. She looked around and saw a CCTV camera pointed at the reception table. After a few exchanges, the manager nodded to indicate to let her in. Mr. Rianchi is in the back. Straight through the kitchens. Have a good day, Ms. Dova. Natasha is definitely sure now they remembered her. Dova is Italian for widow. Natasha walked through the restaurant floor. She can see the tense posture of the waiters and the watchful eye of the manager. Shrugging off the attention, she continued to walk to the kitchen door. As soon as she walked inside the kitchen, everyone stopped. This place is even worse than the restaurant floor. All the cooks are giving her hostile glances while holding different sizes of knives, sharpening it or cutting meat. If she were anyone else, they would have been shaken in her boots, but she is not anyone else. She has seen where monsters are born. This intimidation is nothing on her. She walked past the kitchen and head straight to a meeting room, being guarded by 2 hefty guys wearing a suit with a BTMP-9 machine pistol. I'm here to see Vinny, Natasha said to the guards. Both guards just grunted and opened the door. Natasha walked through the door. She saw 10 guards with similar looks and looked out to the guard she just saw. By the right side wall of the room is a CCTV monitor screen manned by a skinny guy in glasses. In the center of the room, there is a 3 diameter table. Sitting directly opposite the door, a massive older man leisurely eating a plate of spaghetti with a side of wine. On the opposite side of the man is another plate of spaghetti and a glass of wine. Have a meal with Ms. Dova, or should I say, Ms. Romanov, the man said. He saw Natasha looking at the food warily. Don't worry, none of the food is poisoned. It's sacrilegious to waste good food and wine, he reassured. Natasha's face remained neutral as she walked to the table and sat on the chair in front of the food. She then heard the two guards outside walk in and close the door, effectively cutting her off from her only exit. "What can I do for you, Ms. Romanov? It's not like you would come to me for nothing unless you just want to die. Then that can certainly be arranged," Vinny Bianchi threatened. Vincent Bianchi or Vinny is a huge 70-year-old man with graying hair, black eyes, and large eye bags under it. It is the current head of the Bianchi crime family. He had expanded the family's operations through smart and efficient management, making the Bianchis gain control of Vegas Underground. The bad blood between Natasha and Vinny came from one of the last jobs she did before being cornered by S.H.I.E.L.D. She was hired to assassinate Vinny's only son, Luca Bianchi, in the hope that the one who hired her can take control of the family during the confusion. She disguised herself as a high-priced escort to infiltrate Luca's penthouse suite. She drugged Luca with a paralytic drug and staged that he killed himself through hanging. The reason she was identified as the killer was through Vinny's stubbornness. He didn't believe for a moment that his son killed himself. He used all of his contacts until he came upon the Black Widow. The only reason she can go to Vegas without being continuously shot at or assassinated is due to an agreement brokered for her between S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Bianchis. As long as she doesn't wander into their area, the widow would get to live, at least that's how they phrased it. "I need a favor," Natasha said, channeling her Black Widow persona. "And why in the hell should I do this for you and not just put a bullet through your brain?" Vinny exclaimed. "Don't be like that, Vinny. You know it's only a job. It's just business, nothing personal. I'm sure you can understand." Natasha placated. "It's personal to me," Vinny roared in anger. The guards hold on to their guns, getting ready to attack their guest. Natasha remained calm and let the tension slowly die down. When the tension got as low as it gets, she finally said, "I know you're going to help me this, Vinny." Vinny took a deep breath and said, "Now, why is that?" "'Cause you'll finally get to know who hired me." The world stopped for Vinny. He always knew that the widow is only the hired gun, but with so many suspects, he can't do anything. He can finally bring retribution for his son's death. "Tell me," Vinny said in a clipped tone, fixing Natasha with a hard glare. "No, you're going to do my thing first before I tell you anything." Vinny thought it over for a moment. It doesn't look like it, but the widow holds all the cards the moment she said she would tell about who hired her. They can't force it of her since she'll just bring it to the grave with her. They knew her reputation. Sure of his decision, Vinny eventually nodded. "Great. Besides, you'll forget all about me the moment I say who it is." "I'm going to reach into my pocket and bring out a photo," Natasha stated, to not draw alarm. She reached into her right jacket pocket slowly and brought out a photo of Naruto. She placed it face up on the table and slid it over in front of Vinny. "I want information on him, mainly where he is. You have eyes and ears everywhere in this city. You're the fastest way to find him. His name is Naruto Uzumaki, if that helps." Vinny took the photograph on the table and looked at it for a moment. He stood up and went to the monitors. He motioned for Natasha to follow him. "I know this guy. Saw him myself. But he didn't use that name. He used some weird-ass name. Mana, Nmeo." "That's right, Nmeo." Vinny looked at the CCTV operator and said, "Load up all the fights of the champion last night." Vinny turned his gaze to the widow. "See, this guy," Vinny said while waving around the photo, "is every fighting coach's dream. He can take punches, he's quick, he's strong, he's accurate, he has the experience, and most importantly, he's got skills." Natasha looked at the monitor playing a compiled video. She saw Naruto took punches that would bring down anyone else like nothing and throwing punches that knocked the air out of everyone else. The final clip shows a beautifully executed combination ending in a roundhouse kick. It was all she can do not to gape in shock. She finally has a confirmation of what Naruto can do. "That guy took home more than 1.2 mil that night," Vinny said with a smile when the video ended. "You organize fights with $1 million prize money?" Natasha asked for confirmation. "No, the tournament prize is only $250,000, plus gate commission and bet commission. The most he can get is maybe $350K. Most of the money came from betting for himself. $100K for winning the whole thing and another $100K for winning every fight in under a minute. Thought we just have another cocky guy with too much money." The widow just stared dumbfounded at the screen while hearing Vinny's answer. "I'm going to take a copy of his fights. Do you know where he stayed the night?" Vinny nodded to the operator. "Last I heard he stayed at Motel 6. Checked out just 30 minutes ago," Vinny said, remembering the info. Natasha took the CD handed over by the operator and pocketed it. "A deal is a deal, Vinny. Your brother Giovanni ordered the hit. He hoped you'd give up being head if your son died. Vinny and his guards took a moment to register what Natasha said. After a few seconds, Vinny said in denial, "Why should I believe you? He's family. He won't do it." Natasha started to walk out the door and turned around. "I got no reason to lie. I bet it's Giovanni who pointed you to my direction. Well, goodbye, Vinny. I have somewhere else to be." Natasha continued to the door blocked by the pair of guards. After receiving an nod from their boss, the pair opened the door and let the widow out. Vinny sat down and stared at the closed door for almost a minute. He finally regained his voice and said to his men, "Looks like we got to clean house." Natasha drove away from the restaurant towards Motel 6, hoping to find another piece of the puzzle. Shield New York Field Office, New York, March 29, 2005, 1000H local. Carlson is now poring over witness reports. Every recorded statement is basically useless. Each account is the same. A bright flash of light occurred in Central Park. The weird thing was, there are no people anywhere close to the area, even though it's pretty close to a path. It's like everyone avoided the area at that exact time. Unbeknownst to Carlson, the seals placed on the anchor seal has an integrated repulsion seal. The Hiroshima gate works by sending 4 Kepler seals to a random world with a given a set of specifications. These seals would be used as a guide by the Hiroshima gate to send someone through safely. A side effect of the anchor is it would create trees for each seal due to the high level of nature Kepler used to power the gate. As a precaution to minimize errors and make anyone on the other side as safe as possible, a modified repulsion barrier would be formed the moment the anchor is set until the user is transported. Carlson was still reading through that files when a tech approached him. "Sir, we have examined those marks on the trees. The symbols we can translate are endurance, love, of, sword. We have no idea of its significance. The important thing we found out, sir, is how the symbols are made up of smaller symbols. We only found out about it when we used a microscope lens on the camera. There are numerous repeating symbols. We can translate the words anchor, bridge, gate, and away." Carlson immediately got a cold feeling wash over him. "But sir, we hit a problem for one of your orders." The tech continued. "What is it?" "We can't take any significant samples from the tree. We have taken some leaves and bark, but we can't take any wood core samples. We just can't cut into it." "What do you mean you can't cut into it?" "Sir, we used chainsaws, diamond-coated blade circular saw, and even a laser. We can't even make a mark on the wood itself, only the bark." The tech reasoned. Carlson thought for a moment. "Seeing that there really is nothing to be done," he said, "make do with what you have. Send a report ASAP." Carlson dropped what he was writing and walked to the balcony. He took out his phone and called someone. The phone rang a couple of times until the person on the other side answered. "Give me something, Carlson." Fury said. "Sir, we might have a situation." Carlson said in a grave tone. "We might have an alien on the loose." Chapter 10. Still Lucky. Bellagio Hotel Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 1930H local. Naruto is now walking through the doors of the Bellagio. He just came from Jeremy Michaels' place, and now phase 3 of the plan is a go. He just got his ID, passports, and credit cards. Jeremy sure did go above and beyond since he got social security cards, driver's license from 3 different states for each identity, New York, California, and Florida, birth certificates and finally, permit to carry license for the guns this world loves so much. Jeremy also delivered on those credit cards. He repurposed some black market credit card accounts with a $100,000 limit to make them legit. All of which are billed to a P.O. box. Now he can have a paper trail, which is apparently a fundamental concept in this world. He learned that someone without a paper trail is really suspicious. The hit villages would love to adapt this so they can keep track of everyone. The only downside to being a good guy doing bad stuff is that he'd paid Jeremy $750K for everything. If he really is an asshole, he would just do what Krema is saying. If you just use the genjutsu on him, you can get away without him even remembering. Krema said, "Well, I don't want to be an asshole, alright?" Naruto defended himself. "You've got illegally made papers and identification." Son Goku said in a deadpan voice. "That's just a necessity because of my situation, and you know it." Naruto countered. Currently, he only had $483,374 left, which is a lot more than what he started with, but he needs some serious capital to get the next part of his plan started. That's the reason he was walking through that doors of the Bellagio. The receptionist of the motel he stayed at said this was the best place to play poker. Ever since he met Tsunaba-chan, he found out his talent for gambling. It doesn't matter what game it is, as long as it is based on chance. Even if it's rigged, he would somehow still win. As Krenma so eloquently described it one time, as you have a stupid amount of luck for things that barely matter. It's like you made Lady Luck your bitch, and she just can't say no to you. Now fate, that's where he's a little angry with. It's like it piled on all the enormous problems of the world on his shoulder. But he's not going to open the can of worms anytime soon. Right now he has some games to win. Naruto went ahead and looked around. This place sure had a typical high-class casino down. Bright lights, expensive paintings, suit-up dealers, and security. Security everywhere, at least you can see their effort trying to blend in. He looked around and saw a sharply dressed attendant approaching him. Good evening to the Bellagio Hotel and Casino. The best place to relax and enjoy. How can I help you, sir? The attendant said, with a friendly smile. Naruto just smiled back and said the following in a conversational tone. It's my first time in Vegas, and I'd heard great things about this place, especially about the poker tables. Can you point me to where those are? Thinking that Naruto is a customer easy to make money out of, the attendant immediately led him to across the casino floor. You are right on that, sir. We are known for exquisite poker rooms, equipment, and atmosphere. We have over 50 poker tables in the central area alone. We have several private rooms that can be rented for more private games. Both of them finally reached the poker room. The attendant opened the door for Naruto. Welcome to the Bellagio Grand Poker Room. We have increasing buying from left to right. You can join or leave a table after every round. The attendant pulled out a card and handed it over to Naruto. If you have any problems, just call the number on this card and find Ricardo Falcone. He can help you out. Good luck, sir. The attendant walked away and called someone on his phone. Mr. Falcone. It's Morris Grand. I just got a new possible mark. I'm from the Bellagio. Ricardo Falcone is an intimidating 45-year-old man. He is a loan shark working for the Bianchi crime family. He uses inside men in casinos to look for unsuspecting and gullible tourists to loan money to when they lose in the casino. He then cons or intimidates the target to pay back the money with significant interest. He pays the inside man a percentage of each successful loan. Morris is one of the more successful inside men due to the addictive and unpredictable nature of poker. He just has no idea that Naruto would be the worst mark he would ever have. Naruto walked around the tables, looking for an empty chair. He finally spots a man leaving his chair, and Naruto immediately ran to it and sat down. The dealer just stared at the possible new player for a moment. He's terribly underdressed. He looks like he lacks the decorum for this side of the room, judging from the way he ran to sit at the recently vacated spot. Nevertheless, the dealer is nothing if not professional. Sir, I would like to inform you that this table has $250,000 buying. The dealer said. Oh, perfect. I got the perfect table to start. Naruto swung his backpack forward, put his hand in, and sealed $250K in cash, placed it on the table, and turned the back again on his back. All of it was done with a broad, goofy smile. This should be enough. Naruto's action garnered a lot of attention from the table. Some were amused, others were offended, but the dealer remained professional. He just took the money and replaced it with chips. 50 pieces of $1,000 chips and 20 pieces of the $10,000 chips. Naruto looked around the table discreetly while arranging his chips. There are 7 other players on the table, 5 males, 2 females. All of them are wearing fancy clothes. Stupid. How could I forget that? The clothes. Why didn't I buy any clothes? I'm standing out like a sore thumb. Wait, I don't need to buy clothes. I have a transformation jutsu. It's a simple enough hand sign. Ugh. Wait, I need to focus. Naruto shook his head and got back to observing his opponents. The table is set up as a half circle with all the players sitting on the curved side while the dealer is on the flat side. Naruto is sitting on the right hand side of the table. Okay, let's work our way around the table, starting with the dude opposite me. Quiet young, possibly rich parents. Based on his chips and the amount of nervous sweat he is forming, his parents know nothing about this. The next is a middle-aged guy. He's been cleaning house, almost $1 million in chips. Have to be wary of him. The following 2 are chicks. Friends. They also have quite a haul. Either they are good players or good at distracting others. I got to have a closer look at them. Naruto thought of the last part while blood is running down his nose. Immediately wiping the blood, he looked around the table around more. That guy must be in a losing streak. He only has enough for another 2 rounds. Okay, next one is an old dude with a hot chick sitting on his lap. Must be incredibly rich to have that hot of a gold digger. Finally, the guy next to me also has a good haul. Naruto finally ended his train of thought. Seeing Naruto is already settled in, the dealer started the game. Naruto was confused when everyone only received 2 cards. Excuse me. Are there 3 more cards? Naruto asked in a low voice. Before the dealer could answer, the old guy with the gold digger laughed hard. What have you been playing? Scored as 5-card draw. Those are for kids and pussies. What we have here is a man's game. Texas Hold'em. The older man said with a loud laugh. Naruto immediately felt a feeling of dread washed over him. He has no ideas how to play this. You can fold out of the game after the blinds. The 5-card poker tables are the other side of the room if you're interested. The dealer helpfully suggested. Naruto thought about it for a moment until he made a decision. Naruto stood up and shouted, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I don't back down against any challenge. Believe it. The people in the room just stared dumbfounded at the young man shouting. The security around the room don't know what to do and just stood there frozen. They finally relaxed when the guy sat down. Naruto phased out the world around him and took his cards. He had a 10 and a king. Both of them spades. He had been assigned the small blind, which apparently means you have to put $500 on the table while the guy before him had to give $1,000 causes the big blind or something. The middle-aged man raised the bet to $5,000. Everyone else called. The dealer finally showed the first 3 cards, twin aces, clover and a spade, and a queen spade. Naruto just checked since he had no idea what's happening, but the older guy had other plans. He raised the bet to $25,000. Naruto had no choice but to see the bet along with the other players. The next card is placed on the table, a queen of hearts. This promoted another round of betting. The rich kid and the unlucky guy both folded. The old dude and the middle-aged guy are continuously raising the bet until Naruto had enough. He placed all his chips in the pot and said, all in. The 2 girls looked at each other and folded. The guy next to him folded too. Only the old dude and the middle-aged guy met his bet. With no other possible moves for the players, the dealer finally showed the river. It's a jack of spades. Confident with his card, the old guy flipped it over, revealing a 9 of hearts and a queen of clover. Full house, queen over aces. The dealer announced. The old guy immediately turned his cards over before the middle-aged dude can collect the pot. It revealed as an ace of diamonds and 4 of clover. The middle-aged guy immediately slumped. Full house, aces over queens. Naruto's smile was slowly expanding as he watched how Texas Hold'em poker works. Lady Luck still has it bad for him. The old guy was already collecting the pot, completely forgetting about Naruto when the dealer spoke. Sir, we still have another player. Really? The kid didn't even know what he's playing, the old guy said. All he got in return was a blank stare. Alright. Just hurry up. The dealer turned his head to Naruto and said, your cards, please. Naruto smiled and placed his card on the table. He looked at his opponent and turned over his card. The old guy looked like he just had a heart attack when he saw the cards. Ace high straight flush. Royal flush of spades. Naruto laughed hard and collected the pot. Several rounds of poker happened similarly. Naruto would win the pot as a whole or with someone else. One by one, his opponents checked out of the game, seeing they had no chance of winning with him on the table. The management of the Bellagio is already monitoring his games, watching for any signs of cheating. Unfortunately for his opponents, the administration had not seen any signs of fraud. Even replacing the dealer or the card dispenser machine yielded no results. They have no reason to remove Naruto from the game, since the house would profit better with a significant and cashed-in transaction compared to multiple small ones. Bellagio Hotel Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 2230H local. Naruto has been jumping from a table with lower buy-in to a table with a higher buy-in as he wins more money. Naruto was currently collecting his winnings from the last round in the $10 million buy-in table when a largish man in a suit approached him. Are you the guy who's ripping off all the tables? Hey! I'm not ripping anyone off. I'm just lucky. Naruto defended, ending the statement with a pout. The man just shook his head tiredly and continued the conversation. Anyway, my boss is hosting a private poker game upstairs. He asked me to pick up, and I quote, the kid who's been ripping everyone off the floor below. That's why I'm here inviting you. You can just stay here, but it looks like everyone just wanted to get rid of you. Naruto looked around the table and saw the pleading looks on his opponent's eyes that he says yes. Naruto looked back at the man and asked, how much is the buy-in? $100 mil, but don't worry. My boss says he's ready to prop you up. He just wants to see something interesting. Your boss is ready to lose at least $100 million. Naruto asked, dumbfounded. He's stupidly rich and bored, Happy said with a shrug. So, what do you say? I don't need for your boss to prop me up. I may have just enough from this table and in my backpack. Naruto collected his chips and placed them all in his backpack. He stood up and faced his opponents and said, nice game, everyone. I hope we see each other again. Muttered grumblings are all the answer he got in return. Naruto followed the man outside of the poker room towards the elevator. When they finally are alone in the elevator, Naruto finally said, excuse me, but can I ask your name? Sorry that I hadn't asked your name when we first met. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, by the way. Oh, by the way, who's your boss, if you don't mind me asking? The elevator door opened on the penthouse suite. It's alright, kid. I don't want to broadcast downstairs who's my boss. It might get wild. He just wants a quiet night today before he turns it up tomorrow. The man extended his hand toward Naruto. It's nice to meet you, Naruto. I'm Harold Hogan, but everyone just calls me Happy. Naruto immediately shook Happy's hand with a grin. For my boss, well, you might know him. Happy hesitated. Don't leave me hanging here. Who is it? Naruto urged Happy to continue. My boss's name is Tony Stark. Happy said, waiting for the kid's reaction. Who? Chapter 11, Harder Than You Thought, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 1508. Natasha just pulled into Motel 6 parking. She still can't believe she got out at Rianchi's place without a fight, but she won't look a gift horse in the mouth. She got out of her car and went to the front desk. She pulled out a fake FBI badge, showed it to the person at the front desk. Good afternoon. I'm Special Agent Naomi Ryan. I'm here to ask some questions. Natasha took out a photo of Naruto and showed it. Have you seen this guy? She said in an authoritative tone. Is he a criminal? Please say he's not. What if he's a serial killer, and I'm his next target? The receptionist said, clearly losing her cool. Ma'am, Natasha said, trying to calm the receptionist down. He's not a criminal. He's a missing person, and his family has been looking for him for over a month. One of my contacts said he spotted him leave this motel. Is this true? The receptionist took a deep breath to calm down. After a few deep breaths and said, yes, he just checked out around 2 hours ago. Did he say where he was going? Not really. But he did ask where he could play some poker. I told him he could go to the Bellagio so he could go there. Thank you for your cooperation. Have a great day. Natasha pocketed her FBI badge in the photo and left. Natasha went back to her hotel to change into something more appropriate. She checked her card to the valet and went up to her room. As soon as she locked the door, she swept the room again for bugs. Better be safe than sorry, and in her profession, being sorry might mean you die. When she got the all clear, she took out her laptop and video called Fury. Good afternoon, boss. I got a lead on the guy. Natasha said with enthusiasm. Forget about him, Romanov. I'm cutting your vacation short. I need you on the next flight to New York 2 hours ago. Fury ordered. Why? Did something happen? You could say that. Carlson just classified the 083 event as a possible 051. First contact. We have evidence? Nothing concrete as of yet. Only some markings on a tree are indicating that it's a bridge to bring someone in. The tree is a bridge? Natasha said, her confusion seeping through while she started packing up her stuff. Trees. Plural. Carlson would explain it better. That's why I want you in Barton to lead the search teams to confirm if there's a motherfucking alien in my goddamn planet. Fury exclaimed. Natasha hesitated for a moment seeing her boss so agitated, but she steeled herself and said, Boss, I'll take a transport from Nevada field office to New York at midnight so that I can be in New York by morning. Why the hold up? Is this still about the hitchhiker? Didn't just I tell you to forget about him? Boss, I have a reason to believe he's a possible enhance, and he's already trained. I already sent you a copy of the Underground 5T1 last night. Natasha could see Fury rubbing his head while opening the email she sent him. She could see a slide widening at Fury's eye while watching the video, which in Fury's case might as well be dropping his jaw. A few more moments passed before Fury spoke up. "Alright. You can do what you want, but I want you in New York first thing tomorrow morning. Try to see if he's amenable to joining us. In the meantime, I'll have a team analyze the footage to have an idea on the guy's capabilities." "Thanks, boss." Natasha closed her laptop to finish packing her stuff at the same time, picking out a practical yet appropriate outfit to where she's going. She removed her weapons and stripped down to her lace underwear to take a bath. When Natasha got out 30 minutes later wearing only a towel, she checked her phone. "Well, that was fast," Natasha said, referring to the preliminary analyses of the video. The analysis of Naruto's capabilities is based on approximated data available in the video. The speed is computed using the approximated distance traveled in frames per second. The computation for strength uses the opponent's approximated metrics in calculating the force needed for a person to fly that far. The amount of damage Naruto can take, on the other hand, is a little harder to approximate since no reaction could be seen on Naruto. The result of the analysis is simply staggering. Natasha immediately dialed Fury's number. The call quickly went through. "I take it you saw the report," Fury said in a serious voice. "Is this right? I already thought his specs are extraordinary, but not this. Looks like you're right again, Romanov. But that's not all. I'll send you another file. It's an old report of an analysis of a video. Compare the numbers." Natasha immediately went to her email and read the report. Her jaw dropped when she finally saw the name on the bottom. "Boss, he's better than the captain?" Natasha asked hesitantly. "In terms of strength and speed, definitely yes. The guy didn't even take the fight seriously. He might be a lot faster and stronger. In fact, I'll bet on it. It's like he's picking on kids," Fury said with a smile. "The other things Cap had, though, we have no idea. Only the lab can test for that. He certainly looks like he has experience fighting." There was a lull in the conversation until Natasha asked the thought that's running to both of their minds. "Is this as bad as I think it is? The fact that someone may have managed to recreate a super soldier serum without even chatter about it, it's really worrying. The fact that he might have worked as a contract killer is another negative. We might have another Winter Soldier scenario in our hands." Fury finished his thought. "Keep me updated, Romanov. We have too many unknowns about this guy. The fact that New York is still not resolved and we just had the green signal to study the cube. We have too many things happening on our plate." Natasha shuddered, just remembering the machine of a man who killed her client. "Right, boss. I'll find him. Happy hunting, Romanov. I still want you in New York in the morning," Fury said before hanging up the phone. Natasha tossed her phone on the bed and changed into her chosen attire. She double-checked the room for possible things she might leave and went down to the front desk to check out. Bellagio Hotel Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 2230 local. Natasha had just spent 3 hours, from 4 to 7, looking around the Bellagio for Naruto to no avail. Seeing no sign that Naruto would show up, she went round all the major casinos in the city looking for any sign of him. She paid especially close attention to the poker tables since it was the only lead she got from the receptionist. Running out of time since she needed to be on the tarmac of the Shield Nevada field office by 12 to reach New York on time, she went back to the Bellagio for a last look. As soon as she entered the premises, she heard some conversation between employees. "Damn, what I wouldn't do to be the kid right now. Tell me about it. I heard he already won around 90 mil. He's already on the 10 million buying table. I heard he never played Texas poker before, only 5-card draw. At least that's what Jonathan said." "Who's Jonathan again?" "He's the dealer of the kid's first table. He said what the kid's name is." "Apparently, he shouted it in the poker room. I think it's Naruto Uzumaki." Natasha perked up and immediately ran to the poker room to find Naruto. When she got inside, she directly went to the high roller area. She saw a crowd forming one of the tables. Following her instinct, Natasha tried to see what's happening. When she was nearing the table, she saw through the crowd. The moment she saw the distinctive golden blonde hair, she knew she found Naruto. Unfortunately for her, fate had other plans. Natasha was just going to call Naruto when a man in a suit approached him. Immediately in guard, she readied herself for action. Hearing the man's offer to Naruto to join his boss for a private game of poker only made her more cautious, that is, until she finally had a good look at the man. It is Happy Hogan, the personal head of security of Tony Stark himself. According to his files, he has mediocre physical combat skills, situational awareness, and high-stress decision-making, but more than makes up for it for his intelligence, intuitive leaps, and dedication to the job. He would rather die protecting Tony Stark than let him seriously get hurt. But the problem is not Happy Hogan himself, but with what his presence entails. If you can find Happy, you can find Stark somewhere close, and vice versa. The fact that Happy is already inviting Naruto to a game with his boss means that Stark is already in the building, and that means approaching Naruto is already a no-go. One of the founding members of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Howard Stark, Tony Stark's father. He funded a large portion of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s budget and created a lot of advanced technology during his time. When he died, his friend and another founding member, Peggy Carter, created an unspoken rule that S.H.I.E.L.D. would stay away out of Tony Stark's life as much as possible, but would simply protect him from the shadows. Seeing Naruto walking away with Happy Hogan, she had no other choice and dialed Fury's number. "Romanov, are you on your way to New York?" Fury asked as soon as he answered. "Not yet, boss. Still got time. I hit a snag on the other problem." Natasha informed with a little apprehension. "What problem?" "Don't tell me you didn't find him." "Don't worry, boss. I found him. I just can't approach now." "What do you mean you can't approach him?" "He's not radioactive. He doesn't have a force field. And he's certainly not flying. So give me one good reason you can't approach him," Fury said, slowly losing his temper. "Well, he's been invited in a private poker game." Natasha paused to let what she said to sink into her boss. "By Tony Stark." "Shit," Fury said in a word that perfectly sums up their situation. "I don't know if the kid's lucky or unlucky." Fury took a deep breath and continued. "We can't do anything about it now. Just go to New York. I'll assign a team to monitor the guy for now." "Got it, boss." Fury handed up the phone after that. Natasha left the building and claimed her car from the valet. She got in and drove straight to the Nevada field office, all the while thinking how hard it is to find a guy and ask a question. Chapter 12. Confirmation of Change. Bellagio Hotel Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 29, 2005, 2315 H local. "Who?" Happy stopped and looked at Naruto incredulously. Naruto kept walking for a couple of steps until he realized his companion stopped. He looked back and saw Happy's expression. "What?" Naruto asked. "You don't know who Tony Stark is?" Happy asked to be sure. "No, not really." "Should I?" Happy smiled brightly, hearing the answer. He finally could pull a prank and could take Tony's ego down a peg or two. Pepper would definitely love this. "No, not really. Just remember that when you get in." Naruto nodded his head slowly, not really knowing what he meant. "What can I expect in there?" "You have 2 CEO and 2 sports superstar in there. You might know the last 2. Just don't let them intimidate you, and you'll be fine," Happy advised. "Here we are. Just follow my lead, kid." "I'm not a kid," Naruto countered with a pout. Happy just swiped his card on the electronic lock and went in with Naruto following close behind. Naruto was awestruck at how fancy the room is. It's a whole lot more intricate than a lot of Daimyo's palace he has seen. Although it's a little much for his taste, he can't deny the allure of living in a place like this. He's so distracted looking around he didn't see Happy walk his way down the hall. Happy continued his way to the living room without seeing if Naruto was behind him and saw Tony and the other players still taking a break from their latest game. The 2 athletes are sitting on the couch while Tony and his friend are talking on the balcony. "So how's the rebuild going? You guys got wrecked this season?" Floyd Mayweather asked his fellow athlete Kobe Bryant. "Not great, really. The front office is making some moves, but I doubt it will amount to something anytime soon," Kobe replied. Kobe looked towards the balcony. "Do you think that 2 over there would stop talking all about that techno shit?" Kobe asked, referring to Stark and Musk talking something about a new battery configuration for Musk's Tesla. "I don't know. I guess we have to wait for the kid to get up here. Sometimes Tony's too spontaneous. Who would want to play a poker shark?" Happy decided to interject at that moment and shouted, "Guys, I found the kid." Tony looked inside when he heard Happy's voice. He walked up to him and looked behind him. "So, where's the kid?" "Don't tell me you lost him already?" Tony asked, sarcastically, seeing there's no one else there. Happy looked around, searching for Naruto. Seeing this, Tony asked again. "Happy, don't tell me you really lost the kid," Tony said, losing his sarcasm. His nervousness is seeping through. "He was just right behind me," Happy said while looking behind him. I'll check back at the receiving room. Happy walked back to the front door and saw Naruto still looking around the reception area. I thought I told you to follow behind me, Happy said to Naruto while giving him a hard stare. Well, sorry. I just had to look around. Naruto defended himself. Happy just sighed and said, come on. I'll introduce you. Just stay close to me, okay? Happy and Naruto walked back to the living room and saw the guys preparing for another round of poker. Everyone looked to see who Happy brought and looked a little surprised. They saw the kid is not exactly what they thought. He's tall, around 6'2". He looked like he could pass as an NBA guard. Got a muscular build too. Certainly looked like an athlete. He got blonde hair and blue eyes, but his face doesn't exactly look Caucasian. Maybe Asian American. Seeing the lack of awe and adoration that usually would show on a young man's face when he meets all of them, Tony finally asked, so, who are you, kid? Naruto looked at Tony. After a few tense moments, with Tony waiting for that spark recognition, Naruto finally said, shouldn't you be introducing yourself first? And I'm not a kid. Everyone in the room laughed hard. Sure, Kobe's and Floyd's egos are legendary, but it had nothing on Tony Stark. He lives to see his name everywhere. Someone not knowing about Miss Sacrilegious. Tony just gaped at the new guest. He never thought he would meet someone who didn't know him in the USA, especially in his lifetime. I'm Tony Stark. Billionaire, playboy, genius, philanthropist. CEO of Stark Industries. That Tony Stark. Tony introduced himself, hoping to himself that the kid would recognize him. Cool. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. The greatest fighter around. Naruto introduced himself. Still not recognizing the younger Stark. Tony groaned, giving up on the prospect of the kid recognizing him. He walked back to the poker table, sat down, and sulked. The rest of the poker players introduced themselves. Hey. Sorry about that. He's a little vain. But don't worry, he's a good guy, the guy in a polo short, defended Tony Stark. I'm Len Musk. An engineer like Tony there. A tall, bald, African-American man introduced himself next. I'm Kobe Bryant. Basketball player. Played any basketball before? No, I can't say I have. Never even heard of it. Naruto answered in a straight face. You never heard of it? Oh, hell no. I'm going to have to teach you about it sometime. Kobe finally said. Forget about him. You do look like a fighter. You should do some boxing. I'm Floyd Mayweather, by the way. The shorter African-American guy introduced himself. Ooh. Boxing. I read about that one, but I never saw one use it before. What's it like? Naruto asked enthusiastically, finally learning something about his interest. Well, it's about using quick and strong punches to bring down the opponent, while using fast and precise footwork to dodge your opponent. Floyd explained. What about kicks, elbows, and knee strikes? Well, we don't use it. Hey! I fought someone who used that. He didn't last long. You have more experience than I thought. What's the guy's name? Maybe I heard of him. Floyd asked conversationally. Just some huge guy named Mike Lucas. Naruto said while waving his hand dismissively. Floyd immediately widened his eyes. Mike Lucas used to be a professional boxer who started the same time as him. He's on his way to superstar stardom until he was caught using performance-enhancing drugs. He was banned from professional boxing ever since. Holy shit. You must be good. Where did you fight him? Everyone in the room is tuned into the conversation. They all heard of Mike the Flash Lucas. Hearing some guy fought one, even if not on his prime, is extraordinary. Well, there was this underground fighting tournament somewhere north of the city. Won me some serious cash. Naruto said proudly. You fought in an underground fight? Kobe asked for confirmation. Yup, lost my luggage and most of my money when I got here. So I joined to win some cash. The whole thing is a little boring, though. Silence dominated the room hearing their guest's story. Tony, being the impatient one, finally broke the ice. Are we going to play or not? This snapped the people in the room, and they filed toward the poker table. The table in the room is similar to the one in the poker room, only more expensive. They sat down with Len on the left side of the table, followed by Tony, Floyd, Kobe, then finally Naruto. Tony saw Naruto swinging backpack forward. This reminded him of what he said to Happy. You need someone to prop you up. This table has $100 million buying. Naruto flopped his backpack on the table and looked at Tony. No need. I got this, Naruto said with a grin and tipped over his bag. Almost 100 pieces of chips and different denominations spilled onto the table. That should cover it. For another time during the night, they were dumbstruck. The amount he spilled on the table is closer to 200 than to 100 million. How much did you start with? Floyd asked. $250,000. Worked my way up to the $N million tables. Holy shit, we're fucked. Then said, perfectly encapsulating their current position. Naruto only gave them a bigger grin and said, well, let's play some poker. Kamartaj, Kathmandu, Nepal. March 30, 2005, 1200 H. Local. The head temple of Kamartaj is a school created by the world's first sorcerer, Gemato. Gemato was a powerful man who used the mysteries of the mystic arts to defend the world against enemies the world is not prepared to face. One of the most powerful enemies he ever faced is Dorman, an interdimensional demon hell-bent on acquiring planets for his personal dimension, the dark dimension. There is no chance for Gemato to win against the demon if not for a powerful item. He forged it using one of the most powerful objects in the universe. He named it the Eye of Gemato. It's capable of bending time to the will of the user. He used it to push back Dorman to the dark dimension. To prevent Dorman of ever conquering the planet, he created the three sanctums as mystical shields against extra-dimensional beings to protect the world against mystical attacks from other dimensions, and alongside it, the Temple of Kamartaj, tasked with training sorcerers. These sorcerers are soldiers trained in harnessing the mystical energies from other dimensions and use it to protect the world. Gemato named himself as the Sorcerer Supreme and helped create a new generation of sorcerers. Before he died, he named another the title of Sorcerer Supreme to one of his students and passed down with it the Eye of Gemato. This has continued for thousands of years until an unprecedented event happened. A Sorcerer Supreme saw a different future. The next adequate Sorcerer Supreme after her is not to be born for almost 1,000 years in the future. Seeing no alternate solution, she harnessed the dark energy from the dark dimension to extend her lifespan. She had lived for so long that everyone called her the Ancient One. She had guided dozens of generations of new sorcerers, preparing them for what's to come. The Ancient One knew her time is coming, and she had already accepted it. Nevertheless, she religiously looks into the future using the Eye of Gemato. She was prepared to see the same future, confirming what she already knew. What she didn't expect is the sudden change in the visions of the future mid-session. She can't clearly see who or what caused the change, only its effects. The only glimpse she found is a yellow fox. It's like an invincible mountain was dropped on top of the river of time, effectively changing critical events in the future. One of those events, her death. She can finally see the events of what is to come after her death, and for the first time in a very long time, she felt fear. She saw the end of over half of the life in the universe. The Ancient One snapped out of her meditation and took a deep breath. She took her time to choose her next path. Either she does nothing and let destiny take its course, or she does something now and change what is to come for better or for worse. Finally deciding on her choice, she walked calmly out of her room and faced her attendant for the day and said, "Call everyone available to the central grounds in an hour. I'll inform everyone of some of the changes that would happen. And bring me Kesilis, Morda, and Panporn." The attendant looked stunned for a moment. The Ancient One never called such a large meeting. Only meetings with individuals or at most small groups. He stood there for some time until snapping out of it when he saw the Ancient One walking back to her room. The attendant ran through the corridor, remembering the Ancient One's orders. Back in her room, the Ancient One was contemplating the decision she had made. Seeing that she would not be able to reverse destiny's path to what it was before, she comforted herself with her decision. Change has come. The Ancient One could be heard saying this in her empty room. Chapter 13. What the hell happened? PT1, Bellagio Hotel Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 30, 2005, 1000 H. Local. Tony was sleeping peacefully until he was woken up by the most beautiful voice he ever heard. "Wake the hell up, Tony. I swear to God." Shaking up the cobwebs in his head, Tony opened his eyes and saw something he never expected to be his angel. "Don't make me throw this bucket of water at you." Ugh. Tony tried to get up, but his pounding headache begged to differ. "Okay, you asked for it." Tony felt water splash his face, and he immediately shot up. What the hell? Tony looked around to see what's happening, and where is he? He looked like he was in his hotel room. The weirdest thing was the only other person in the room is his personal assistant, Virginia Pepper Potts. Pepper used to work for another scientist entrepreneur until she finally had enough of the flirting of her boss and left. Stark Industries later hired her as an accountant for their finance department. Her diligence and detailed work in the department caused her to find some discrepancies in an account. After her immediate superior ignored her findings, she marched her way towards the office of Tony Stark to report what she saw. Pepper caused a scene at Tony's office when she wasn't allowed to meet him. In a natural reaction of Tony Stark's personal bodyguards, they pepper sprayed her. When Tony Stark got out of his office and saw the aftermath of the commotion, he laughed hard. This event would leave such a great impression on the CEO that he pulled her out of the finance department and made her his personal assistant, and more importantly, Tony gave her the nickname Pepper. Pepper continued to grow and develop, being under Tony Stark's personal employee. This is not because Tony taught or guided her. No, this was because Tony basically put her through a trial by fire. Whether you love him or hate him, Tony Stark is an undeniable genius who appears once in a century. This genius caused Stark Industries to grow from a technological research company to a multinational conglomerate focusing on weapon manufacture. Tony's corporate ability enabled him to make the company flourish, but he was never enthusiastic about running a company. He only wanted to tinker and invent new stuff. This trait caused Tony Stark to place Pepper Potts in a position that would allow her to do basically everything Tony was supposed to do. Pepper's sudden predicament forced her to learn the ins and outs of the company. She expanded her studies while working for Stark until she got multiple masters and doctorates from Harvard and Yale, all related to business administration and management. Currently, she had more than enough credentials and skills to run any Fortune 500 company. Everyone else in the industry tried to hire her or poached her away, but some part of her was always telling her not to leave her boss. Through the years, she and Tony have developed a good working relationship and an even better personal relationship. Pepper had somehow applied order to Tony's chaotic lifestyle. The only part of the job she now minds is she had to take care of Tony's one-night stand. But that's not why Pepper is so angry this morning. Why did I have to find out on the news that you and another guy took down an Italian mob while drunk? Pepper shouted. What? Oh, not too loud. A hangover, Tony asked. I don't know. All I know is what the news is telling. The Las Vegas Metro PD and the FBI are trying to get hold of you, trying to make sense of a situation. Your lawyers are trying to contact you too. What the hell happened, Tony? This is one of the worst things you've ever done. Tony was seriously worried about what happened. He tried to recall what happened last night. He tried to remember what happened last night. Tony remembered that he, Len, Kobe, Floyd, and his invite, Naruto, was playing poker with Happy as the dealer. Naruto was destroying them until one by one they folded out except for himself. Flashback start. I'm tapping out while I still can. You're seriously like the pool shark of poker, Len said while collecting his chips. I'm going back to my room. You should fold out too while you still can. Len finished, referring to the small stack of chips on Tony's table. He barely got $3 million left while all the others pulled out when they reached around $50 million left. They saw that it was pointless, and they would only lose money to Naruto. Tony's only answer is a nod with a grunt. He is already a little bit wasted, indicated by the half-finished bottle of bourbon by his side. Happy is at the dealer's side of the table, absolutely enjoying the poker bat down the kid was giving his boss. Then said goodbye to both Naruto and Happy. He took one last drink and left. Tony looked back to see Len go out of the room, thinking about folding out of the game right now. Only Stark's ego and overwhelming alcohol are pushing him to keep playing. He looked back at Naruto and asked, next round? Naruto looked at Tony a little bit weirdly. He knew that Tony took the most hit during the game because of his aggressive game style. The chips he had left could only cover the small blind, but he has to cover the big blind for the upcoming round. Are you sure? Naruto finally asked. Cause I'm okay with covering the big blind again. You'll just have to go all in as your opening bet. Tony rechecked his chips and saw that Naruto was right. He thinks over a solution for a moment until he finally spoke. I'll give you an open favor for one last game. All or nothing. What good is your favor? I got almost $350 million here with me. Why the hell should I say yes? Naruto said, baiting the CEO for more. Tony acted offended at Naruto's statement. I'm Tony Stark. One of the richest and smartest men alive. I could literally put you on the moon, and here I am, basically giving you a blank check, Tony said exaggeratedly. As long as Pepper is not entirely opposed to it. Tony finished with a little fear in his eyes. Pepper would skin him alive if he gave another person one of those open favors without running it by Pepper first. Happy laughed hard when he heard the last statement. Who's Pepper? Naruto asked the laughing bodyguard. She's Tony's personal assistant and nanny. Happy said the last part as a joke. Naruto giggled a little bit at that, understanding the jab on Tony's personality. Naruto looked at Tony and said, "Make that 5, and you have a deal." 3. Tony countered while extending his hand. Naruto was going to shake Tony's hand, but before he reached it he said, "3 in a room in your law residence, and you're going to teach me engineering and computer stuff." Happy gave Naruto a weird look, but Naruto only shrugged. "I just moved to the US, lost most of my stuff, and I have nowhere to go. This would solve that problem and learn something new." Naruto defended himself. "Don't worry, though. I'll be traveling for a while." Naruto then looked at Happy and said, "You can even check my background if you like." Tony agonized it for over a second. He likes his solitary lifestyle, and adding this unknown guest might shatter that. On the other hand, the kid would like to learn something from him, and his ego like that. That was the tipping point. Deal. The two of them shook hands. The result was as expected. Naruto won without much difficulty. This caused Naruto's finance to grow to $410,489,374. He also got a temporary home base and 3 blank checks on one of the most influential men alive. "Ugh, you really have the luck of the devil," Tony said while pouring himself another drink, looking at Naruto, packing the chips in his bag, almost making it burst at the seams. "Leave it there. I'll just have the manager encash tomorrow. I'll even cover the fee. I own this place anyway." "Really?" Naruto asked. Seeing Tony nod, he just left it on the table. He then stood up, fixed up his jacket, and looked at Tony. "Well, I'm leaving. When and where are we going to meet tomorrow?" Naruto asked. When? Hold up there, sunshine. You just made me lose a whole lot of cash, a room, and a lot of my time in the future. At the very least, you're going to have a drink with me," Tony said, stopping Naruto in his tracks. "But I don't drink, and I have to find a place to stay," Naruto countered. "Nope. We're going to have a drink and talk like men," Tony said, urging Naruto to accept. When he saw Naruto sat down again, resigning to his fate, Tony looked at Happy and said, "Take the night off, Happy. You look like shit." Happy thought for a second before nodding and going to one of the spare rooms. "What's your poison?" Tony asked. "I don't know. I only ever tried sake with my grandma," Naruto said. "Damn, your grandma's hardcore." Tony poured 2 glasses of bourbon and handed one to Naruto. "You should try that one." Naruto took it and stared cautiously at the amber-colored drink. He took a small sip at it to taste it. "Not bad." Naruto looked contemplative for a second before saying, "Yep, she really was. I can't believe I only met her when I was 13. Why is that? I only met her when my godfather, which is also my grandfather figure, tried to find her. She was something of a traveler and a medic. The thing is, she only stayed in bars and casinos even though she can never really win at gambling. Damn, and you basically win every time you play. Some weird family you got." "Yup. So what about you? What's your story?" Tony swirled his bourbon before taking a swig. "You really don't know, do you?" He saw Naruto shook his head no and continued, "Well, basically, it's the same as other wealthy families' stories. Parents don't have time for their kids. They died on a business trip when I was around your age." "How old are you actually?" 21. "Birthday in October," Naruto said. "You're lucky. You never said they didn't love you. What I would give to get a chance like that." "Did they beat you or something?" Tony asked a little cautiously. He's aware that there are a lot of people who have it worse than him. "No. As far as I know. They loved me a lot. I just never had the chance to meet them personally. They died on the day I was born. Some huge calamity happened on my birthday. Took the lives of a lot of people in my hometown, including my parents. I only got to know the names when I was 17. Naruto said with a sad chuckle. There was a lull in the conversation, with both of them trying to cheer themselves up from the conversation. "Got a girl in your life?" Tony asked, trying to continue that conversation and stirred away from the heavy talk. "You really think I would move to the US alone if I had a girl?" Naruto said with a raised eyebrow. "Well, I don't know. That's why I asked." Tony defended himself. "How about you? You got someone?" Naruto returned the question. "No, not really. Only one-night stands." "Oh. How about that, Pepper?" "Pepper? Where'd you get that?" "We're great friends, I guess. But we don't have any romantic inclinations." "Why not?" Naruto asked. That simple question echoed continuously inside his head, getting louder and louder. Looking back, Tony would always say that particular question by Naruto changed his life. Naruto saw the blank stare on Tony's face. Being respectful, he allowed Tony to think over whatever he was thinking about. After a few more minutes, Naruto finally had enough and shook Tony to get his attention. "So, what are you thinking about?" Naruto asked with a sly smile. "Nothing," Tony said a little too fast. "So, what do you want to do now?" Tony asked, trying to get the topic moving. Naruto thought for a second before removing a small calling card from his jacket pocket and showed it to Tony. "You said you own this place, right? I had one of your attendants give this to me saying that if I have any problems, just call the number on this and look for Ricardo Falcone. Want to look into it?" Naruto immediately knew that the attendant is up to no good since he already saw a lot of those scams when he was with Tsunade. It also helped that Krema said that the guy reeks of negative emotions. Being a little thrill-seeker himself and intoxicated, Tony only saw the good side of this endeavor. "Oh hell yeah. Let's go to security." Flashback to be continued. Chapter 14. What the hell happened? PT2, Bellagio Hotel Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 30, 2005, 1030H local. "Tony, talk to me. Don't think you can get out of this mess," Pepper said while pacing back and forth in front of the dazed Tony. "Having enough?" she snapped at him. "Tony." Tony shook his head, snapping out of his daze and said, "I never noticed how beautiful your hair is." Tony and Pepper both froze when the words left his mouth. He has no idea why he said it. Well, he has some idea, but now is not the time to linger on it. "Did I just say that out loud?" Tony asked with no one in particular, but Pepper nodded anyway. When Tony got his answer, he took a deep breath and said, "Damn. Naruto seriously did a number on me. Anyways, where was I?" "You went down to security," Pepper said helpfully. "And we're going to talk about what that Naruto said to you later. Can we not?" Tony asked, hoping not to go through the mushy stuff that they would be definitely trudging through when that conversation continues. Pepper only gave him a hard glare. Tony deflated, knowing he already lost. Trying to retake hold of the conversation, he finally continued trying to remember what happened. Flashback continues. "Oh hell yeah. Let's go to security," Tony shouted while putting on his blazer. "Why?" Naruto asked. "Well, do you know who gave this to you?" Tony said while waving around the calling card. Naruto shook his head. "No. That's why we're going there first. We need to find out who gave this to you and who's this Falcone guy." "Oh. Okay. What are we waiting for? Come on," Naruto said, vibrating with excitement. Okay, sheesh. Let me get my stuff first." Tony took his IDs and walked out the door. Naruto followed behind Tony with a hop in his step while Tony is trying to act sober. He led them straight to the office of the head of security. When they reached the office, Tony went right through the door without missing a step. "Joey. How you doing?" Tony asked the guy who was sitting on the opposite side of the desk. He didn't even notice the guy reaching for his gun. Joey Griffin is an unassuming 55-year-old, 5'10" man with Irish descent. He has reddish-brown hair and green eyes. Joey was a Navy SEAL squad captain until he took a bullet to the knee, ending his field career. He was going to continue to serve the military as an instructor to help mold the next generation at SEALs, but the news of his daughter's cancer meant that he has to find a more profitable job. This led him straight to being hired by Stark Industries to be head of security for its subsidiary, MGM Hotels and Casinos. He's been assigned as head of security for all MGM buildings in Las Vegas. His increased pay and premium insurance had allowed his daughter to receive the best treatment possible. The reason he was still in his office was that there are multiple VIPs currently in the building, especially his boss's boss, Tony Stark. Seeing Tony Stark burst through his door at this time of night was the last thing he thought would happen. He calmed himself down and tried to stand up. But before he could stand up to shake his boss's hand, he felt a knife on his throat. Holy fuck. Naruto. When did you get there? Get that knife away from him. He's the one we're going to meet, Tony said to Naruto, finally noticing him standing behind one of his security officers. And can you teach me? Added Tony a little hesitantly. Naruto withdrew his knife away from the guy's neck and pocketed his knife. He walked back to the door while still keeping an eye on Joey. Joey, on the other hand, was scared for his life. He only felt this kind of fear when Saddam Hussein's private guard captured him, and now there's this guy, whoever the hell he is. He never even saw the guy pass through the door. Joey rubbed his neck and looked at Tony. Mr. Stark, not that I'm not happy to see you, but why are you here, and who's the guy who almost opened up my neck? Joey asked, still alert from the previous encounter. Hey, good to see you're still alive, Tony said with an awkward laugh. And this guy here is Naruto. He's kind of the reason why we're here. Joey narrowed his eyes to the blonde guy next to his boss. All the bells in his head are warning him that the guy's dangerous. You want me to call the police on him? Joey asked, completely serious. No, not really. He's the guy who'd been ripping off the people in the poker room. Tony informed Joey. I knew he looked familiar. Joey said, still not relaxing. And he's going to apologize for what he did, Tony said while looking straight at Naruto. Hey! He's the one who tried to draw a weapon. It's not my fault he's slow. Naruto defended himself. Ever since the war, he's wary of hidden weapons. It's better safe than sorry when it came to those. Joey tried to defend himself, but he knew he would do the same in that kind of situation. Naruto's answer just earned a look from Tony until he finally caved. Sorry. Naruto apologized while scratching the back of his head. Joey waited for something more, but he never got a continuation at that apology. After a few more seconds, he sighed and nodded. He then looked back at Tony and asked, by the way, why are you here, boss? 2 things. I want you to look for the attendant who greeted Naruto when he walked into the Bellagio, and what can you tell me about Ricardo Falcone? Tony answered while handing over the calling card to Joey. I'll look through the footage, Joey said while scrolling through his computer. He then looked at Naruto and asked, what time did you get in? Maybe around 7:30. Naruto answered. Okay, Joey opened his desk drawer and retrieved a folder. He slid it toward Tony's direction. In the meantime, that's the file I have on Falcone and the Bianchi crime family. Does Falcone have a man on the inside? According to this guy, yes, Tony said while patting Naruto while looking through that file. He told me the attendant gave him that card and said to call Ricardo Falcone. Damn, thought I got rid of them all. They just grow like weeds, Joey said while still scrolling with the CCTV footage. Got it, it's Morris Grand. He's got almost 5 years with us, he said and looked at Tony, who placed the folder on the desk. I'll take care of it, sir. Have a nice night. Okay, have a nice night too, Joey. Tony said and left. Sorry again about the thing earlier. Naruto apologized again before following Tony. When they reached the elevator, Naruto asked, what now? Well, I saw 3 main locations for the Bianchi crime family. We can hit them all tonight. Tony said with a smile. Wait up. You're not coming with me. Do you even know how to fight? Or use one of those guns? Do you even have one of those? Naruto said while thinking about the mess bringing a civilian in a fight. Hey! Of course, I know how. I'm the CEO of a weapons manufacturing conglomerate. I designed and built more than half of what we sold, Tony said proudly. Do you even know where you're going? He asked, knowing the answer. Naruto had his head low for the minor's overside. The elevator door opened, showing the parking garage. Tony walked to a closed gate and placed his palm on a console. The whole gate lifted, revealing 2 cars, a black Hummer 5 and a hot rod red Ferrari Enzo. Tony walked over to the Hummer's driver's side door and got in. Naruto followed and got in the passenger side door. Tony started the car using the key from the visor. He then opened the glove and central compartment, revealing an FNF 2000 and a Beretta 92 FS, each with multiple magazines. Tony looked at Naruto smug and said, yes, I have some of those guns. Alright. I'm going to take point. You trailed behind. Try not to use that on anyone. We don't want them dead. We wanted them captured by the police. Got that? Naruto laid out the plan. He could use shadow clones, but where's the fun in that? Why do you got to go first? I'm the one with the gun. Tony countered. You got almost no experience based on your reaction to Joey. You're a civilian. You're drunk. Take your pick, Naruto listed. Besides, I don't need a gun. I'm a close and personal kind of guy. By the way, can I have those shades? Naruto said the last part pointing to the Ray-Ban Aviator Classic shades on the dashboard. Sure, go ahead. Don't see the reason why you would need those when it's dark out. Tony pointed out the obvious, ignoring the rest of the Naruto statement but following his plan nonetheless. Naruto knew that wearing shades in the dark is stupid since it leaves you almost blind, but he's not going to use it to keep out the light. He'll use it to cover the change his eye would go through when he activates his Dojutsu, Rinnegan Sharingan. or simply Shinigami because the full name is such a mouthful, and the death god is such a massive part of his life. His Ondowatsu is the result of the equal parts mixing of Sneju and Uchiha blood, forming the Rin Sharingan. The Tenseigan, the final form of the Byakugan, much like the eternal Memkia Sharingan is the Sharingan, was a byproduct of Kaguya Otsutsuki's blood mixing with his own. The process almost killed him, but he survived due to his Uzumaki vitality and Kremazuki. The Shinigami combines all the best parts of the three Dowatsu, making it the ultimate Dojutsu. It allows him to see Kepra networks and tanks, 3D XREY vision up to 10 kilometers away, eidetic memory, telescopic vision, and a whole lot more. Tony stopped the car next to an apartment complex. He took both of the guns and 2 spare magazines before he looked at Naruto. Seeing that Tony is gearing up, Naruto slipped on the shades and activated his eyes. He can see 8 guys with weapons and an unarmed guy sleeping all on the top floor. You remember the plan? Naruto asked to confirm. Yep. I'm going to follow far behind you and try not to shoot anyone, Tony said. Naruto got off the car with Tony following behind him. Chapter 15. What the hell happened? PT3, Bellagio Hotel Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada, March 30, 2005, 1045 local. You went in there with him? Pepper shouted angrily. She started pacing back and forth again. And you're the one who wanted to go with. What if you've been hurt or worse, killed? Well, I'm not that hurt, am I? Tony said while checking his body for any injuries. He only saw a small gash by his temple. Besides, you should have seen Naruto. The guy is a force of nature. He took out everyone without a gun. Tony took on a contemplative face. Maybe I should hire him as a bodyguard. He can take on an army. What? No. You and that guy got in more trouble together than should be possible. My hair's turning white just thinking about what would happen. Pepper immediately denied the idea. Tony just laughed nervously. Pepper immediately had a bad feeling. She stopped pacing and stared. What did you do? Pepper asked dangerously. You remember the final bet? Tony asked, his nervousness showing. Yes. Pepper drawled out. Well, it's not only the 3 favors that I gave. I also would give him Urumawa and give him engineering and computer lessons. Tony said, waiting for the inevitable blow-up. What? Pepper reacted. She sat down next to Tony and took a deep breath. Just continue with what happened. Pepper said, giving up on the prospect of a dark future ahead of her. Sure. Tony said, hoping not to agitate Pepper more. Flashback continue. Ricardo Falcone is a high-position member of the Bianchi crime family. Although not related to the Bianchis, his father was one of the first outsiders who joined the crime family. His father's resourcefulness and loyalty allowed him to rise quickly through the ranks. He inherited the loan sharp gig from his father and allowed it to grow to a profitable venture for the family. Ricardo would always be loyal to the Bianchis. That's why he ordered his men not to join any faction between Vinny and Giovanni. He would usually join Vinny's camp since what Giovanni did goes against everything of what a family stands for, but the family needs to survive the aftermath. Whatever happens between the brothers, the family would need capital to recover, and bringing everyone in for the confrontation would just fracture the family and increase the damage that would happen. That's his reason and what he told the 2 when they called for his support. They really can't question his loyalty since he's been loyal from the start. He selected one of the family's bases to make sure that if someone retaliated for him not joining any sides, he would be as far away from his family as possible. The 8-man guard, he's just extra precaution. He would be proven right to have them, but it wouldn't do a thing for what's to come. At least it's not one hostile Bianchi brother that came for him. Ricardo is looking at the clock, waiting for it to strike 2. That's when the Bianchi brothers would meet, and the fate of the family would be decided. He was lounging on the sofa with his men when someone knocked on the door. Everyone immediately tensed up and drew their weapons. The situation they are in had everyone on edge. The knocking continued until one of the guys closer to the door peeked through the U-hell. He saw a blond guy with shades wearing a hefty. He's relatively young too. The guard walked over to Ricardo and said, "There's some blond guy on the other side of the door. Early 20s, I reckon. Check what he wants. Just be prepared for anything," Ricardo advised. The guard nodded and walked back to the door. He unlocked the door except for the door chain and opened it. "What do you want?" he said, trying to be more intimidating. "Hi," Naruto said in an overly cheery voice. "I'm looking for a Ricardo Falcone." The guard drew his pistol and pointed it at the guy behind the door, ready to kill him if he did anything wrong. "There's no one here by that name. Leave." The guard closed the door while still pointing his gun at it. He walked towards his boss and said, "He's looking for you. I sent him away." "Good. We don't want any distractions tonight," Ricardo said. As soon as everyone sat down, they heard another knock on the door. The guard jogged to the door, annoyed and ready to turn the guy away again. When he was trying to reach for the door, it suddenly burst open. Naruto saw the guy running to the door with his Sharingan. This was the perfect moment to attack. They would be unprepared, thinking that the same guy is just looking for their boss again. He kicked the door open and immediately disabled the guard with precise and accurate attacks on the guard's attempts. He saw everyone frozen in their spot. He ran towards the center of the room. He lowered himself and extended both of his hands and said, "You're within the range of my divination. H-Regram 64 pumps." He hit each person left mobile in the room, including Ricardo Falcone, 8 times, effectively temporarily paralyzing everyone. He dragged everyone and lined them up on the wall. "You can come in now," Naruto said towards the hallway. Tony saw almost everything that happened by peeking by the end of the hallway near the staircase. He was pretty sure his gun wouldn't do a thing even at this distance. What he can't figure out is how did Naruto paralyze everyone with only a few pokes here and there. Tony walked towards the apartment and saw Naruto looking over a guy in a gray 3-piece suit. "That's Ricardo Falcone." "Holy shit, that's a big catch," Tony said with a little bit of shock. He didn't expect some of the big guys to be here. "Yup. Can you check the cabinet for files or anything incriminating? Take a picture of everything if you can. Call the cops too before we leave." Tony nodded to Naruto's request but not before mumbling about something about Nat being his sidekick. Tony began checking through that drawers and cabinets. He laid out every document he could find and laid it out on the table, and took photos of everything. While Tony was doing that, Naruto was opening up some temps on Falcone so he can be mobile enough to ask some questions. "Where's your boss?" Naruto asked so he can take down the crime family straight from the top quickly. Falcone just kept his mouth shut, knowing that someone like this guy going after Vinny during his showdown might as well cause a family collapse. Seeing that Falcone wouldn't talk without some extreme measures which he can't use since apparently torture is frowned upon in this world, he applied a small genjutsu on him to make him more cooperative. Due to the atrophied Kepra network of the residents of this world, Falcone can't even put up a fight against the genjutsu. "I'm going to ask again, where's your boss?" "He's at the abandoned warehouse north of the city where the underground fights usually happen," Falcone said, not adding the part about the Bianchi brothers showdown since he wasn't explicitly asked about it. Naruto knocked out Falcone and went over to get Tony. "You done here?" Naruto asked. "Yep, just about. Can't believe the dirt on these guys, and it's only one side of their business," Tony said while fixing up the file on the table. Tony then jogged out of the door, followed by Naruto but not before taking a photo of the guards and Falcone. He texted a contact he has from the FBI about what they found out. He's pretty high up the ladder to make sure the Bianchi can't bury the case. When they got in the car, Naruto said, "We should go to the warehouse district. Do you know the address of their base there? If not, I can guide you." "Yeah, one of their bases is around there." Tony started the car and drove north. "You know, what we did back there was kinda fun even though I didn't do much." "What are you saying?" "You did most of the work. I just beat those guys down," Naruto reassured. When they were nearing the warehouse, Naruto told Tony to pull over. "Why do you want me to stop here? We're still 2 blocks away," Tony argued. "We might encounter guards outside since their boss is there. It's easier to sneak in on foot than this huge car," Naruto said, already knowing that there are guards posted outside with 2 factions meeting on the inside of the warehouse. He formed a plan quickly in his head that would make them do the least amount of work. Tony almost banged his head on the steering wheel for not thinking about it. The 2 immediately dismounted the car and walked towards the warehouse. They're sticking in the shadows with Naruto still on point. When they were building away from the warehouse, Naruto pointed an alleyway for them to enter. "Here's the plan. I want you to find a way to get on top of the warehouse and go down to the catwalk. I'm going to cause a distraction. When you see it, fire your weapon. After that, hang tight and enjoy the show," Naruto said with a grin. Tony had no idea why Naruto would plan something like that, but seeing Naruto operate, he just decided to trust Naruto with this. But still, he has a question. "What's the distraction?" Tony asked. "You'll know it when you see it," Naruto said. Tony just nodded to the vague answer. The 2 separated with Naruto running towards a shadow and somehow disappearing in it. In his slightly intoxicated state, he just dismissed the event. Tony lurked around the warehouse, looking for a way up, making sure he was sticking to the shadows. He finally saw a fire escape. Tony climbed up the ladder. He looked around to look for any guards. Seeing none, he proceeded to go to the skylight and drop down into the catwalk. Naruto's plan finally made sense when he saw the scene inside the warehouse. He didn't even question how he knew. There looks like two groups with the two older guys leading the groups. They look like to be talking calmly, but an undercurrent of tension can be seen on everyone. While he was looking over the developing situation, he finally understood what the distraction was. Thick white smoke was rolling in from every crevice. He had no ideas how Naruto did it, but it was goddamn effective. Tony aimed at the back of one group and fired. All hell broke loose. Both factions were already tense before the smoke screen, but the tension skyrocketed after it. The sound of gunfire immediately prompted both sides to fire in the general direction of their enemy. Gunfire was raining from both sides, hitting enemies and allies alike due to the smoke. The only one unharmed were the two older guys who have been protected and pulled away pretty fast. The fighting was just about to die down when a bullet flew past Tony, causing him panic and backpedaled. He tripped backward and hit his head on the guide bars of the catwalk. This immediately knocked him out. Naruto saw this happen even though he's quite the distance away watching the situation unfold. He always kept an eye on Tony to make sure he's safe. He knew the bullet wouldn't Tony, but he should have accounted for the instinctual reactions of civilians. Immediately Sunshine to Tony's location and checked on his vitals. Naruto finally took a relaxing breath when he determined that Tony was just knocked out cold. Losing his patience for the fighting to stop entirely, Naruto threw another smoke bomb, covering further the whole warehouse with smoke. He jumped down and used his Sharingan to determine all the conscious or able bodies left inside the warehouse. Naruto determined that there are 15 people left able to fight back, excluding the two leaders. They're both hiding behind some crates on the far side of the room. He rapidly struck down all the fighters with a little less finesse than he used on Falcone's men. He has some little leeway on the damage since both sides are already shooting at each other. Naruto used a combination of intercepting fist and gentle fist fighting style. He struck down everyone he came up against while hiding himself in the smoke. The high-speed bullets certainly made the fight a little more enjoyable. When every one of the guards is down or dead, Naruto attacked temporarily paralyzed both of the leaders and dragged them to the middle of the room. Naruto was going to start asking questions when he heard the sirens indicating the cops are nearby. They must have responded to the gunshot reports from the area. He gave up on trying to get more information and just decided to bug out. He picked up Tony and sealed his guns. He shined towards the car and sealed it too after making sure that no one is around. Naruto only used Shunshin all the way to the hotel, since he hadn't left a Harishintagen there. When he reached the underground parking of the Bellagio, he unsealed the car in the garage and shined towards Tony's penthouse. He looked for Tony's room. When he found it, he left Tony on the bed and walked away, making sure the doors closed behind him. Naruto walked towards the penthouse door and said to himself, "What a night. I think I earned myself a little ramen." Before going out and finding somewhere who served ramen in the city at this time. Flashback, and that's all I remember. Tony finished his story. "Where's Naruto anyway?" he asked while looking around the penthouse with Pepper following him. "I don't know. I didn't saw anyone when I came here 2 hours ago," Pepper said. "Happy's missing too," Tony stated his observation. "He's with Joey and the feds giving their statements." "Don't worry, there's a lawyer with them," Pepper reassured. "She's one of the people who's managing the damage control for Tony and this Naruto's mess. Just let them tell the truth. That two guys took down a criminal empire in Vegas that everyone else can't," Tony said, with a proud smile. Pepper just took a deep calming breath and said, "Just call your lawyers and work it out with them before giving a statement. I'm going to try to find your friend." Tony poured himself a cup of coffee and looked behind her. "No need, he's right behind you," Tony said with a grin. Pepper immediately turned around and saw a blonde-haired guy with blue eyes wearing a hefty. He was eating a cup of instant noodles using chopsticks. What infuriated her more than she already is was the carefree look he has. "You!" Pepper shouted while pointing at Naruto. "Me?" Naruto asked dumbly, not following the conversation. "Yes, you!"